96.1 FM. Don't miss this.
Don't miss this.
Hello and welcome to Business Around Town on Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja and Voice of the People TV. My name is Aliu Doma.
And my name is Chiwa Blessing. It's a brand new week. It is a brand new week. It's salary week, y'all. I hope that you're excited about it. It's time for you to receive money and I hope you spend it well. This is Business Around Town, like Aliu said. And here we discuss everything regarding business. I'm talking foreign exchange, stock markets, aviation, and everything in between.
All right, we have quite a number of headlines that we will be starting with today. And we'll begin with the stock market today. Stock market sustained upward rally despite uninspiring GDP figures. Bullish trend has dominated the Nigerian stock markets against the backdrop of the gross domestic product GDP, a report which indicated a 2.51% growth in the second quarter of 2023, a significant drag below both the first quarter figure and analyst projections. The Nigerian Exchange Limited All Share Index advanced by 1.3% week on week to close at 65,558.91 points, driven by investors' interest in Bua Foods, which rose by 7.9%, Dangote Sugar 35.7%, and Transcorp 39.4%. As a result of the month-to-date and year-to-date gains increased to 0.6% and 26.3% respectively. On the activity levels, total trading volume increased by 7.3% week on week, while the trading value declined by 0.4% week on week. From a sectoral review, the consumer goods index went up 11.6%. and insurance index 1.20%, while the banking index declined by minus 3.6%, and oil and gas index minus 2.4%. The industrial goods index closed flat. Commenting on market outlook, analysts at Codros Research said, looking ahead, we expect investors' sentiment to be influenced by developments in the macroeconomics landscape and the movement of yields in the fixed income markets. Overall, we reiterate the need for positioning in only fundamentally sound stocks as the weak macroeconomic environment remains a significant headwind for corporate earnings. Also, analysts at Cowrie Asset Management Limited said the prevailing trend of buoyant sentiment is expected to persist, supported by the ongoing digestion of robust economic data spotlighting Nigeria's commendable output performance and positive trajectory. Nevertheless, the continued market response to elevated T-bills rate, juxtaposed with renewed interest in bargain opportunities and portfolio realignment, remains a focal point. Meanwhile, we continue to advise investors to take positions in stocks with sound fundamentals. Commenting as well, analysts at Invest Data Consulting said, we expect mixed sentiment as market reacts to high treasury bill rates and hyperinflationary environment of 24.1% rate in the midst of bargain hunting and portfolio repositioning ahead of first-tier banks' earnings report expectation and sector rotation persists. All right, this is one of the stories we have on the stock market.
Well, here we have servicing debts with a 90% revenue path to destruction. says Tinubu. Well, President Bola Tinubu has said the country could not continue to service its debts with 29% of its revenue. He noted that the country was headed for destruction should that continue. And Tinubu spoke during the annual conference of the Nigerian Bar Association on Sunday in Abuja. He said his administration must make difficult changes to better the lots of the country. And Tinubu said, can we continue to service external debts with 90% of our revenue? It's a path to destruction. It is not sustainable. We must make very difficult changes that are necessary for our country to get up from slumber and be respected among the great nations of the world. To build a great nation, we must make bold decisions. Even though it may be painful at the moment, it is not about you and me. It is about our generations yet unborn. Tinubu, who said there is hope for a great Nigeria rather, called for the cooperation and support of the private sector. He said it is a shame to not have adequate electricity for the mass majority of homes in Nigeria and to power our industries. How can we address poverty without electricity? We can take many people out of poverty with an uninterrupted electricity supply. Poverty is not acceptable and we must banish it. Speaking on the epileptic power supply in the country, the president described the situation as painful. He, however, promised that his administration would ensure that Nigeria generates and distributes the electricity the economy requires to thrive. Tinubu said, yes, it is a shame we do not have adequate electricity for the mass majority of homes in Nigeria and to power our industries. How can we address poverty without electricity? We can take many people out of poverty with an uninterrupted electricity supply. Poverty is not acceptable and we will banish it. On remuneration for judicial officers, Tinubu stated that true justice reform must begin with world-class salaries and benefits for legal professionals in Nigeria. The NBA president, Yakubu Meikiao, SAN, expressed the confidence of the NBA in the ability of President Bola Tinubu to deliver good governance to Nigeria because of his pedigree and past record of excellent performance in Lagos State, where he was governor between 1999 and 2007. President Tinubu got it right in Lagos, and it is our considered expectation that as president of Nigeria, you will not only replicate your achievements in Lagos, but surpass them for our country.
All right, let's move to other stories. We have this on the Vanguard that says NBS unemployment report is fraud. Labor employers fume. A lot of stakeholders have come to question the report, unemployment report released by the NBS. Stakeholders like non-academic staff, union of universities, textile workers, employers, and a lot more, but we will go into details of this particular story. Organized labor and employers in Nigeria have rejected latest reports by the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics that unemployment rate in the country has fallen by 4.1%, describing the report as a fraud. Organized labor contended that the report was a far cry from the reality on the ground, warning that with such reports, the NBS could lose its credibility. A senior official of the Nigeria Labour Congress told Vanguard that NBS simply rebased the employment templates to get a lower figure for unemployment, saying this is not helpful as it may undermine the credibility of NBS work in the future. The official, who spoke on condition of anonymity because he was not permitted to speak publicly on the issue, said, "The fact is that any statistical data that is not truly representative of the fact on ground loses its validity. We know that unemployment figure in Nigeria cannot be falling when the reality is that we have factories that are closing and leaving the country because of difficult operating environment. You then ask yourself, where are the new jobs that have absorbed the thousands of graduates that are entering the labor market annually? The truth is that rebasing the employment template is in order to get a lower figure for unemployment is not helpful, as it may undermine the credibility of NBS work in the future. We sincerely suggest that figures are figures or statistics dished out to Nigerians can only achieve its purpose when it aligns with the objective realities on the ground, no matter how bitter it may be. The idea that anybody that earns 1,000 naira a week is in unemployment smacks of attempt at gerrymandering the unemployment rate to cover the inability of the state to perform its responsibilities to the economy and Nigerians. In all, we may not accept that figure until we conduct due diligence on the process that led to this outcome. Reacting to that, NAS, we're talking about the General Secretary of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, Prince Peter Adeyemi, said, "I am one of those who rely on NBS for accurate data, but I strongly doubt this latest report that unemployment has reduced by 4.1% in the first quarter of 2023. There is practically nothing to support this position. Rather, I think the rate of unemployment has increased." Don't forget that the first quarter of 2023 was the period of our elections in Nigeria, where politicians used the youth and the unemployed to advance their various political activities. Those are temporary engagement that cannot be classified as gainful employment. The federal, state, and local government need to do more in area of job creations. Similarly, President, National Union of Textile Garment and Tailoring Workers of Nigeria, John Adaji, said it depends on the source of their information and the sectors they are looking at. But as far as the manufacturing sector is concerned, and textiles in particular, we have witnessed more job losses and even notices of redundancy and closure from some of the factories. I think we should be careful not to politicize critical issue as employment. We must resist the temptation to give wrong impression that we are making progress, when in actual fact we are not. As far as issue of employment is concerned, we have a new government which part of its renewed hope agenda is to create jobs. Industrialization remains the sure means of creating sustainable jobs for the teeming unemployed in the country. The new government must support revival of labor-intensive textile and garment industry. Also, the TUC reacting through its deputy president of trade, Dr. Tomi Okon, said, "We don't know how they generate their data, especially in Nigeria, where we have depth of data. Manufacturing companies are not employing because they are struggling to stay afloat. Federal government has not employed, and so many people are turned out from tertiary institutions and passed out of NYSC and secondary schools across the country. I think government agencies should stop covering up and cooking up data for whatever reason. It is a known fact that the unemployment situation in the country is increasing on a daily basis, and we cannot pretend about it."
Well, that's that on that story. We have this one. Banks, 18 others fined 125 million for late filings. Well, at least 8 banks and 18 other listed companies have been fined 125 million naira for failing to file their 2022 audited financial statements and quarterly reports for the first half of 2023, as required by Nigerian Exchange. Well, the Punch findings have revealed. Now, the affected banks were Unity Bank, FBN Holdings, Access Holdings, Fidelity Bank, Jaiz Bank, Wema Bank, Guarantee Trust Holdings PLC, EcoBank Transnational Incorporated, John Holt, PZ Cousins, Notora Chemical, GlaxoSmithKline, Customer Nigeria, Industrial Medical and Gases Nigeria, and Julie PLC were also affected by the sanction. According to NGX post-listing rules, quoted companies are required to submit their audited results not later than 90 calendar days or 3 months after the expiration of the period. The rules also require quoted companies to submit interim reports not later than 30 calendar days after the end of the relevant period. Based on the latest X-compliance report issued by the regulatory arm of the NGX, FBN Holdings was fined for delay in submitting its 2022 financial results and its quarter 1 report for 2023. The lender paid 6.3 million naira for the former offense and paid 3.3 million naira for the latter. For failing to submit its 2022 results on time, Unity Bank paid 6.4 million naira and another 3.4 million naira for the delay in submitting its interim reports in Q1 2023. The report showed that Fidelity Bank, GTCO, and Wemer Bank paid 2.7 million, 1.4 million, and 1.9 million naira respectively as fines, while Access Holdings paid 2 million naira. Jaiz Bank, EcoBank, and John Holt coughed out 600,000, 3.2 million, and 3.2 million naira again respectively as penalties. Now the NGX fined PZ Cousins 4.8 million. Notora Chemical paid 500,000, and GSK, which announced the closure of its operations in Nigeria, also paid a fine of 1.3 million for failing to file its 2022 financial results assets when due. Others also sanctioned for the delay in filing their 2022 audited accounts include Industrial, Medical and Gases Nigeria, which paid a fine of 1.2 million. Julie PLC paid a penalty of 120,000, and MPF Microfinance Bank paid a fine of 1.8 million. The regulator also sanctioned Dar Communications, paying 1.7 million naira fine. Champion Breweries and Abbey Mortgage Bank PLC were fined 1.6 and 1.4 million naira respectively. Now, Regency Alliance Insurance and Thomas Watt Nigeria also paid 1.4 million and 4.9 million naira fines respectively for the same office. The NGX hammer also fell on Presco PLC to 24.8 million naira, Ardova 18.6 million naira, and Universal Insurance PLC 12.4 million naira for flouting the filing regulations. Conoil was fined 7.9 million for not filing its results within the stipulated time, while Cavaston Offshore Support Group paid 5.7 million as a penalty for the same offense. Now, telecommunications services firm Bricklinks Africa PLC also coughed out 590,000 naira fine during this period. The vice chairman of the High Cap Securities, David Adonri, said the fines were necessary to maintain the sanctity of the market. A lot of them relate to corporate disclosures. The capital market is information driven. There is certain information that the listed companies must disclose at the appropriate time. If a company realizes that it may not be able to disclose such information, the company can send a request to the exchange requesting additional time.
All right, having taken that, let's it's time for us to pay some bills. We will go on a quick commercial. When we come back, the program continues, where we will take a look at some more headlines, especially elusive deadlines, why Port Harcourt refinery may not work by December, and also in the aviation sector, we will be telling you that the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency has signed letters of agreement with the Agency for Aerial Navigation and Safety in Africa and Madagascar. Stay with us. This is Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja, and also Voice of the People TV.
Serving you hot and fresh content on radio, and you have been loving it. Now we're taking it further. Catch us live on YouTube at BOP TV for all the juicy content you can't resist. Talk shows, exclusive interviews, news, lifestyle, and more. It's all about you. BOP TV, show up, speak up.
The award-winning pizza in the US is now here in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Romeo, the pizza champions, and Coldberry ice cream. Delights in every school. Visit any of our outlets and feel the rich taste from the pizza champions and Coldberry ice cream.
At number 4, Ogbomosho Street,
Area 8, Geriki, Abuja, or 3rd Avenue, Gwaripa, Abuja, or Federal Housing Estate, Phase 2, Lube, Abuja. Call 0908-831-5906 or 0908-831-5908 or 0909-238-9861. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at romaspizza.ng.
website
www.romaspizza.ng. Romeo, the pizza champions. Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafday Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less. Are you traveling to Lagos and desire a perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you are traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pickup and drop from the Lagos airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me, believe me, believe me.
As a sharp business owner, you know you need to advertise your business, right? Don't lie, you need the advert. So what better platform to advertise than with VOP 96.1 FM? Our rates are friendly and our reach extensive. Go ahead, take that bold step and advertise that business today. Give us a call on 080-5761-9720. That is 080-5761-9720. Visit us at our office at number 4 Ogbomosho Street, Romeo's Pizza Building, Area 8, Gariki, or send us an email on abuja@voiceofthepeople.ng.
Well, thank you for staying with us. This is still Voice of the People, 96.1 FM Abuja. We're still on business around town, myself and Aliudoma. Let's get into more stories. 88.2% labor class lacks salary paying jobs, says the reports. Now, about 88.2% of working age Nigerians lack salary paying jobs. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics show that only about 11.8% of working age Nigerians were engaged in wage employment in the first quarter of 2023. Now, according to asksource.info, wage employment includes any salaried or paid job under contract, written or not, to another person, organization or enterprise in both formal and informal economies. Now, the NBS also disclosed that there was a degree of 16 points. There was a decrease rather of 1.6% points in the percentage for wage employment from 13.4% to in the fourth quarter 2022 to 11.8% in the first quarter of 2023. The Nigeria Labor Force Survey fourth quarter 2022 and first quarter 2023 report by the NBS read the share wage employment was 13.4% in the fourth quarter of 2022 and 11.8% in the first quarter of 2023. However, the NBS did not provide a value for the number of working age Nigerians, unlike in its previous report. Now, in 2020, the NBS placed Nigeria's working age population at 122 million. The NBS further disclosed that most Nigerians are self-employed and only a few percent have a wage job. The report read, majority of Nigerians are self-employed while a much smaller proportion holds wage jobs. In the fourth quarter 2022 and the first quarter of 2023, 73.1% and 75.4% of employed Nigerians respectively worked in their own businesses or farming activity for their primary job. On the other hand, 13.4% in the fourth quarter 2022 and 11.8% in the first quarter of 2023 of employed Nigerians were engaged as employees, being wage employed in their primary jobs. A further 10.7% in the fourth quarter 2022 and 10.5% in the first quarter 2023 of employed Nigerians were primarily engaged in helping in the household business, receiving pay or profit indirectly, even if it was not their own business. A small proportion of employed Nigerians were primarily engaged as apprentices or interns, 2.6% in the fourth quarter of 2022 and 2.2% in the first quarter of 2023. Those helping a household member who worked for someone else was about 0.2% in both fourth quarter 2022 and first quarter 2023. It was disclosed that sex, educational attainment, age, and urban-rural were strongly associated with the likelihood of holding a wage job. Now, employed men were more likely to engage primarily in wage jobs than most employed women. Employed people with higher levels of education attainment, those with post-secondary education, were more likely to engage primarily in wage jobs. Employed people who aged more than 65 years and those aged 15 to 24 years were the least likely to engage primarily in wage jobs, and employed urban dwellers were more likely to be primarily engaged in wage jobs than employed rural dwellers. Despite the improvement, Nigeria still has one of the highest unemployment rates when compared to neighboring countries. Data from the NBS showed that the unemployment rate is 0.7% in Niger, 3.9% in Ghana, 1.5% in Chad, and 1.8% in Benin. Cameroon and Nigeria both have a rate of 4.1%. However, the NBS has been criticized for its methodology, which critics claim is not a true picture of reality in the country.
All right, let's move to other stories that we have. This one is saying a weak oil production to drag GDP growth in third quarter full year. Against the backdrop of the weak performance in Nigeria's latest figures of the gross domestic product (GDP), analysts have painted a hazy picture of the immediate future for the economy. Giving its perspective to the economy's short-term outlook, analysts at Cardinal Stone Finance, a Lagos-based investment house, stated the uninspiring performance in the oil and gas due to terminal shut-ins, pipeline maintenance, and aging infrastructure led us to taper our oil production projections for the third quarter 2023 to 1.3 million barrels per day from 1.5 million barrels per day. This translates to an oil GDP projection of 8.3% year-on-year in third quarter 2023 as against 25% year-on-year previous projection. However, we are optimistic about the last quarter of the year as Seplat Petroleum Company has already completed drilling 5 oil wells, 3 of which are expected to begin production. Elsewhere, due to the robust performance of the non-oil sector, we maintain our initial forecast of 2.9% year-on-year for third quarter 2023. This view is premised on ICT-led growth in the services sector due to the accretive benefits of increased 4G and 5G network coverages and elevated capex, that is capital expenditure spending. In addition, we expect credit growth to remain elevated, supporting the outturn in the financial service sector. Finally, our outlook for the agriculture sector remains modest due to the prevailing security concerns in the country. Overall, we project GDP to settle at 2.9% year-on-year and 2.8% year-on-year third quarter and full year 2023 respectively. Giving an outlook perspective, Marvelous Adiele, Senior Associate at Parthian Partners, another Lagos-based investment house, stated generally, while the 2.51% growth is positive, there are concerns around the sustainability of this growth trajectory, especially given the economic challenges we are faced with as a nation. Also, given the short-term perspective of the GDP, David Adonri, analyst and executive vice chairman at High Gap Securities Limited, stated third quarter 2023 will indicate whether the economy is fast or slowly adjusting to the new policy direction of government. Meanwhile, the analysts at Cardinal Stone have put a caveat to the outlook expectations as follows. Elevated consumer prices will further weaken purchasing power, with negative pass-through to trade and fast-moving consumer goods sectors. The elevated interest rate environment and dollar supply shortages will likely pressure manufacturing players. The elevated energy prices will likely lead to a recession in transport GDP due to the reduced number of cars on the road. Adiele, in a general comment on the GDP performance for second quarter 2023, stated the increase in Nigeria's real GDP by 2.51% in second quarter 2023 indicates a slight improvement in economic performance compared to the first quarter growth of 2.31% and can be seen as a positive sign, especially considering the challenging economic conditions the country has been facing. No doubt, the prevailing economic challenges, high inflation, increase in tariffs, forex instability, removal of fuel subsidy, amongst others, contributed to the lower growth year-on-year. Commenting on the GDP, Adonri said the slightly positive GDP growth in second quarter 2023 matches forecasts by analysts. Planting season started early and some harvest occurred in areas with less banditry. However, the growth was propelled mainly by services. The productive sector remained troubled, indicating that import dependence has not reduced. Also giving a general comment on the second quarter 2023 GDP figures, the analyst at Cardinal Stone stated economic traction was capped in the second quarter of the year as sustained headwinds in the oil and gas sector led to a GDP growth of 2.5% year-on-year, defying analyst expectations of 2.8% year-on-year. The print was the lowest second quarter GDP growth since the exit from the pandemic. The oil sector minus 13.4% year-on-year, shaved off about 80 barrels per second from growth as average crude oil production, that is 1.22 million barrels per day in the review quarter, touched the second lowest point since 2013. And we attribute the uninspiring oil outturn to the leakages in the Forcados terminals, aging infrastructure, and strike action by oil workers. On the non-oil front, the services sector remained robust, profiting from the 34.6% year-on-year increase in credit creation in the financial service sector, plus 26.8% year-on-year, and positive pass-through from increased cross-border activities and enhanced e-commerce channels in the trade sector with plus 2.4% year-on-year. Nevertheless, we highlighted some weaknesses in the ICT sector, which moderated to a 4 minus quarter low of 8.6% year-on-year, owing to a 2.8% year-on-year decline in telephone subscribers and a 3.2% reduction in teledensity. This moderation likely reflects the decrease in work from home structures and less intensity on electronic channels since the availability of cash. Elsewhere, agriculture output recorded a 1.5% year-on-year growth in second quarter 2023, rebounding from the naira illiquidity introduced contraction in the first quarter of 2023. In addition, the manufacturing sector with plus 2.2% year-on-year sustained a growth trajectory owing to the expansion of product lines by some FMCG players. And this is it on this particular story.
Well, oil theft, Navy vows to arrest fleeing owners of abandoned vessels. The Nigerian Navy has vowed to fish out, arrest and prosecute fleeing owners of abandoned sea-going vessels arrested for alleged illegal oil bunkering activities. This is as the Navy insisted that a vessel, MV Cecilia, set ablaze by its operatives in Rivers State recently was involved in oil theft. This came about over 48 hours after the owner of the vessel, Chief Vaspa Ako, who is the managing director of Soldiers Limited, an oil and gas firm in Port Harcourt, denied culpability in any illicit oil deal. Chief Ako, while briefing newsmen through his counsel, Augustine Okekudu, in Port Harcourt last Friday, said, contrary to the claims of the Niger Navy ship Pathfinder, whose personnel destroyed the vessel, the boat is not a workboat, but an aluminium high-speed crew facility, as clearly stated in the NIMASA document. He further said that the boat has a 45,000 liters capacity, not a 350,000 as alleged by the Navy, saying it was shocking that they later destroyed a vessel within a week of its arrest without investigation. He stated the boat is in Nigerian Navy Memorandum of Understanding as a security boat. The Navy even came to inspect and clear the boat 2 months ago. But the Navy explained that though the vessel had not been put in use for 2 years, it was being used as a storage tank for illegally refined products, describing the allegations by the owner as unfounded. This was contained in a statement titled Unfounded Allegation by the alleged owner of merchant vessel Cecilia, and signed by the Director of Information, Nigerian Navy, A.O. Ayo Vugan, and made available to our correspondent. I think this is the much we can take on this story and many other stories. I just checked and we're out of time.
Yeah, we are out of time, but let's quickly take a look at this one from the
Port Harcourt refinery.
Yes, why Port Harcourt refinery may not work by December. The hardship being faced by the masses over the removal of subsidy on premium motor spirit with galloping inflation and unsettling foreign exchange crisis may not stop anytime soon, as the succor expected to come in December this year through the rehabilitation of Port Harcourt may remain a fallen hope. Although President Bola Tinubu had promised that Nigeria's refineries being overhauled at the cost of $2.7 billion will start running in December this year, especially the Port Harcourt refinery, which was started in 2019 with a completion deadline of 2021, there are indications that series of challenges that border on procurement failures and wrong integrity checks may further delay the project. The Guardian gathered that some of the subcontractors who were already mobilized to site were, as at early this week, idle, as some of the materials being imported did not match specifications, while other materials, including motor pumps, which are reportedly designed to be replaced, were being refurbished. It was further learned that the contractors, which had initially conducted the integrity check, appeared to have encountered more trouble, indicating that their previous investigation was not detailed enough to reveal the depth of work needed on the facility. There are also indications that some of the pipeline linking to the storage facilities constitute challenges, with insiders disclosing that some of lines with integrity issues may not be changed. For 2 weeks now, some subcontractors have not been working. They were brought in to connect pipes, but the pipes on ground did not match specifications. They have a valve or an elbow joint for, let's say, 40 inches that ordinarily should be fitted by another 40 inches pipe, but they have 20 inches pipes. This is the situation as I speak with you, but somebody will just address the media that the refinery will start in 2 months, a source said. And at this juncture, we have actually come to the end of Business Around Town for Monday edition, 28 August 2023.
Well, we leave you with the business quote for today. Discipline is about getting it done because it needs to be done, not because you feel like it should be done. Motivation is about getting it done because you feel good about it and not necessarily because it's the right thing. Do you agree? Join us tomorrow, Business Around Town. I'm Chinwe Blessing.
And my name is Ali Udoma.
Stay with us.
Thank you for watching.